Hi, this is George from the Return of the King channel. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how it appeared the year of the rapture is coded into the blood moon tetrad of 2014 and 2015, and also in the Revelation 12 sign. It's 7 years from the last blood moon and 5 years from the Revelation 12 sign to the Feast of Trumpets, which is the first day of the year on the civil Jewish calendar. It also appears that the feast day of the rapture may be coded into the blood moon tetrad. The correct day for the start of Tabernacles, also known as Sukkot, can be found at torahcalendar.com. It begins at sunset on October 11th in Jerusalem. It's the last harvest feast of the sacred Jewish calendar. It lasts for 7 days. We'll be gone during the tribulation for 7 years. If we are raptured on the Feast of Tabernacles, the trumpet of God will be the last trumpet blast of the year on the sacred calendar. Jesus was born on Tabernacles in 3 BC. Tabernacles is one of 3 feast days where all males are required to attend. It's a meeting with God. The moon, which is nearly full on Tabernacles, is almost always in the constellation of the Lamb on Tabernacles. On the start of Tabernacles this year, the moon is nearly full in the constellation of the Lamb, Aries, Taleh in Hebrew. The moon represents Christ and his bride. He is the head and we're the body. Jupiter from the Revelation 12 sign is in the constellation of the Christian, Pisces. Before the dragon in the sea and before Christ the judge pours out his judgment, he takes his bride home. It takes the moon 7 days to arrive in Cancer. Cancer represents heaven. Tabernacles is a 7-day celebration of the final harvest of the year. We will be in heaven for 7 years, celebrating with Christ. During the millennium, all the families of the earth are required to go up to Jerusalem on Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths. Then everyone who survives of all the nations that have come against Jerusalem shall go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Booths. And if any of the families of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, there will be no rain on them. On Tabernacles we are celebrating Christ's birth when he came to earth to redeem mankind. If the rapture occurs on Tabernacles, we are also then celebrating our wedding anniversary when Christ came for his bride, when he stole his bride away and took her to his wedding chamber in heaven for 7 years. A Jewish wedding at the time of Christ lasted 7 days. What you see here is what I believe is the roadmap to the rapture. The Bible is very clear that there will be signs in the heavens before Christ's return. You can find them in both Joel 2:31 and Luke 21:25 and many other places. There are 2 groups of eclipses here. This group is about the coming tribulation. It's where they occur in the heavens that tells the story. The tribulation begins with the rider of the white horse. The other eclipses are in the constellations of Taurus, Christ the Judge, and Scorpio, the constellation of the Antichrist. The last blood moon is in the constellation of Libra, Judgment. There's a total of 7 eclipses in this group. In this group, there's a total of 14 eclipses. These are all of the eclipses, but the most important are the blood moons, of which there are 7, and these 2 solar eclipses. So we'll just look at these. In the center of these 2 groups of blood moons is the Revelation 12 sign. Blood moons represent the atonement of Christ. They are a 2-edged sword. For those who believe in Jesus as their Savior, they represent salvation. For those who reject Christ as their Savior, they symbolize judgment. Jewish rabbis in the past and today believe they represent judgment coming to Israel. They are correct. The tribulation is the time of Jacob's trouble, not the church's. This first group of 4 blood moons occurs in the constellation of Virgo and Pisces. Virgo represents the bride of Christ and Pisces the Christian. The symbol of the Christian since the beginning has been the fish. The second group of blood moons, a triad, 3 in a row with no partial eclipses in between, occurs in the constellations of Capricorn and Cancer. Capricorn represents the atonement of Christ, and Cancer, heaven. These 3 blood moons occur right after the Revelation 12 sign. It's where we, those of us who are saved by Christ's atonement, will spend the next 7 years. Heaven. There are 7 blood moons, 7 years. Gemini represents our wedding in heaven. A Jewish wedding lasts 7 years. While judgment is being poured out on the earth, we will be with Christ, our bridegroom, celebrating for 7 years. I go into detail into why Cancer represents heaven and Capricorn the atonement in the video you see appearing here. Go to the 10-minute, 6-second mark in the video. From the last blood moon of the tetrad, it's 726 days to the Revelation 12 sign. 726 in Strong's Concordance is harpazo, rapture. This last blood moon of the tetrad is somehow connected to the rapture. This blood moon occurs in the constellation of the fishes, Pisces. Not only does it occur in Pisces, but in a very specific location. It occurs here in Pisces, above the tail of the dragon. This is the moon to scale in Pisces. On the start of Tabernacles this year, Jupiter is sitting here above the tail of the dragon. Jupiter is the male child from the Revelation 12 sign who is harpazoed, raptured before the red dragon in the sea can devour him. The last blood moon of the tetrad is in almost the identical location as Jupiter is from the Revelation 12 sign. This blood moon is in some way connected to the rapture. This is the blood moon that we just looked at. It's 726 days to the Revelation 12 sign, a sign about the rapture. 726 in Strong's Greek Concordance is harpazo, rapture. In the Revelation 12 sign, the male child is caught up to God and his throne. The words translated as caught up in Greek is harpazo, from which we get the word rapture. This blood moon is connected to the rapture based on the day count to the Revelation 12 sign, and its location in the constellation of Pisces, which we just saw was in the same location as Jupiter from the Revelation 12 sign. So based on that information by itself, the rapture should occur sometime during the time period Jupiter is in its current location. Jupiter stays above the tail of the dragon until April of 2023. So that's the latest the rapture should occur, but there's more. The final clue here is on what feast day does the blood moon occur. It occurs on Tabernacles on the modern Jewish calendar, a few days before Tabernacles when using the correct calendar. This blood moon is telling us what feast to be looking at for the rapture, which is Tabernacles. When we look at the heavens on Tabernacles, we should see some connection to the Revelation 12 sign. If we see no connection, it's not the year. This year is different. We see a very strong connection to the Revelation 12 sign. On the first day of Tabernacles this year, we see the blood moon is in the same location as Jupiter, in the constellation of the fishes, and above the tail of the dragon. The moon is in the constellation of the Lamb, who is going to snatch the fishes from the dragon in the sea before the Lamb pours out his judgment, his wrath upon the world. These are the constellations of the Tribulation. It takes the moon 7 days to reach Cancer, which represents heaven. We'll be gone for 7 years. It's exactly 7 years from this blood moon to the Feast of Trumpets 2022. It's just like Joseph and Pharaoh, where a 7-year warning is given before the famine begins. In our case, it's warning that the tribulation, the time of Jacob's trouble, is about to begin in 7 years. It's 5 years from the Revelation 12 sign to the Feast of Trumpets 2022. The church age, the age of grace, is about to close. From the Revelation 12 sign to the true day of Pentecost, it's 1,726 days. The Feast of Pentecost is about the mystery age, the age of grace. It's not based on anything in Jewish history. It eventually got connected to the giving of the law by the Jewish leadership, many years after Christ's death. The true date of Pentecost is always the 15th day of the third month, the 153 fish. When the Jewish calendar is calculated correctly, the Sabbaths are always the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th day of each month. Not like today, where the Sabbaths come from the pagan calendar. When using the pagan Sabbaths, Pentecost is always about a week too early. Pentecost is a harvest feast, as is Tabernacles. When you have the correct date for Pentecost, it's exactly 4 months to Tabernacles. Pentecost occurs on the 15th day of the third month. Tabernacles is on the 15th day of the 7th month, exactly 4 months. In John 4:35, Jesus made this interesting statement, "Do you not say, there are yet 4 months, then comes the harvest?" Pentecost is about the church age, the Christian. In 4 months, the harvest of the Christian will occur. The age of grace comes to a close. On the true date of Pentecost, the full moon is above the tail of the scorpion. Our escape is from the Antichrist and the beast system. The Antichrist comes from the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan is associated with the constellation of the scorpion. On the Gregorian calendar, the date 6/15/2022 adds up to 666, the numerical value of the name of the Antichrist. On the 8th day, the day after Tabernacles, is Shemini Atzeret. It's a solemn assembly. When we look at the heavens on that day, we see Venus, the bright morning star, is in conjunction with the sun near Spica. Jesus said this in John 14:1-3. "Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, and I will take you to myself, that where I am you may be also." On the day after Tabernacles, Shemini Atzeret, we see Jesus the bridegroom and his bride are with the Father. And in the Father's house are many mansions. We're finally home. In my last video, I went into greater detail on this sign in the heavens, on Tabernacles, and much more. You can watch that video here. Thanks for watching.